Okay, so we've got another trophy list video for you today. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Memento Mickey's Platinums, 157 of the bad boys. Before we get into those Platinums, just want to say a huge thank you for the love and support. As expected on the last list, with it being an absolute insane banger of a list, Crypt of the Necrodancer, Metal Gear Resurgence, Elder Scrolls Online, I expected there to be a lot of love on that one, and you guys did not disappoint. Absolutely blew me away. And I kind of feel sorry for Memento Mickey, because depending on how good or bad this list may be, it might or might not compare. I have faith. Also, the BombSquad members, of course, never forget you guys. Thank you so much for being the absolute legends. Let's get into the stats. The one thing I have already seen is there are no 100%, so we don't have to worry about those. But stats page, 157 Platinums, as I've already said. Mainly S's and A's, a few B's, few C's, D's and E's, no F's. You love to see it. 545 golds, 1,898 silvers, 7,260 bronzes. A nice mixture there. Games-wise, mainly PS4 and then PS3 and PS5, roughly the same. And that is something that I like to see. 346 ultra rare trophies, so we could well be onto another winner, and I am hopeful, because that list last week was fantastic, and I hope every list from this point on is the same. Maybe a few bad ones just for comedic value. We don't usually scroll down, but I just want to have a look at some things, because, you know, I'm trying to change things up a little bit. Need to keep it fresh, you know, keep you guys interested. So trophies by time, you know, like any normal person, he's sleeping. Actually, no, I'm looking at the wrong part here. The least time that he gets trophies is between 12 and 7. So, potentially at work, at school. But then why is he getting them at 9 AM in the morning? I don't know. This looks like my dream kind of time. If I didn't work, this is when I'd be earning all my trophies. Trophies by day, he doesn't discriminate. Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays is the one that drops off a little bit, but of course this is over years of trophy earning. But yeah, let's get into these trophies. Let's have a look what we've got. So we're starting off, we've got a hat in time. Fantastic little platforming game. 3 out of 10, 20 hours. Currently sitting at 26.63. Not too difficult. Quite enjoyable. There are a couple of, you know, somewhat awkward trophies to earn, but a decent game. Back for Blood, 9 out of 10, 100 hours. As this was done early 2023, I think that was before they made the platinum easier, so bravo. Sitting at a 4.17% platinum rarity. Bayonetta, nice, 6 out of 10. 3 playthroughs, 40 hours, sitting at 10.33. We've then got Bioshock Infinite, 6 out of 10. I'm seeing a bit of a trend here. 9, 6, 6. Oh, let's go. 30 hours, 9.29. Black Myth Wukong, 5 out of 10, 50 hours. This one's quite high. Obviously, Black Myth Wukong being sort of like Souls-like. So they're always high, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a banger platinum for Memento Mickey to earn. And then we've got Bleed. 10 out of 10. It's only a 15-hour platinum, but, you know, very skill dependent. 3.07%. If you don't know Bleed, go and have a look. It is insane. Just to point out, I know that some of you have probably already clocked on to like trophy cabinet and stuff like that. When I do look at these lists, I only pay attention to this section here to like not spoil anything for myself, because I want the reactions to be genuine. But I know in the last video, like I would have seen Crypt of the Necrodancer so much earlier in the video if I'd have just looked to the right hand part of the screen, but that's the reason why I don't, because I want it to be genuine. I don't want to like ruin the best trophies for myself or for you guys. Bloodborne next, another banger, 8 out of 10, 50 hours, 22.12%. We got Borderlands, 4 out of 10, 50 hours, 15.51% on that bad boy for the PS3. We got Butcher, which I've never heard of, but that's a 7 out of 10, 15 hours, 3.74%. We've then got Chivalry 2, double stack, done at different times, so fair play. One on the PS4, one on the PS5, both 5 out of 10, both 40 hours. One sits at 1.89%. 1.89%. PS5 version sits at 3.64%. And then we got Chivalry Medieval Warfare 3 out of 10, 16 hours, sitting at a 2.44. Moving on, we got Conan Exile 7 out of 10, 50 hours, 18.20%. Control, which I think I've said it numerous times, is just an absolutely fantastic game. 4 out of 10, 20 hours, sitting at a 23.41%. We got CSGO on the PS3, 2 out of 10, only 5 hours. If you get everything done right. I know that a lot of people who've earned this more recently have done it against bots. Obviously, this was played 2013, so it could have been legit. 22.8% on that bad boy. We got Dark Souls 1, 2 twice, and Dark Souls 3. So fair effing play on those 4. 6 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 8 out of 10. I'm just loving all these red blocks. You know, if it's not red because of the difficulty, or orange, oranges are good as well. Oranges are more than good. Even some greens are good. But red's in the length of time. But 13.77, 20.48, 18.50, 29.55. Sounds high, but it's Dark Souls. They're difficult. Dexter, 2 out of 10, 5 hours, 57.80%. Judging by the date, I'd imagine that was when it came to PlayStation Plus Premium, was it? Or was it one of the monthly? I can't remember if it was one of the monthly games or if it was just Premium. We've then got a double stack of Dead by Daylight. Again, different dates. So I'm going to assume that these were done legit, everything. Both 6 out of 10s, both 150 hours. PS5 stack, 5.57. PS4 stack, which he's got a lot more trophies on. You know, 92 out of the 125, 2.28%. We then got Dead Cells, 7 out of 10, 50 hours, 4.44%. That's like a Metroidvania. Is that what it's called? Metroidvania? Yeah. But like 8-bit. I've played it. I really enjoyed it. It was a long time before I became a trophy hunter. It's one I've considered going back to because it was very, very enjoyed. We got Dead Island on PS3 and Dead Island 2 and Dead Island Definitive Edition and Riptide Definitive Edition. So a Dead Island lover, or at least a zombie slayer. We got 5 out of 10, 40 hours, 5.47%. Dead Island 2, 3 out of 10, 30 hours, 28.17. It is quite a simple platinum. It's one that I've got myself. Definitive Edition on PS4, 5 out of 10, 40 hours, 6.19%. Another one I've got because I do enjoy a bit of zombie killing. And Riptide Definitive Edition, 3 out of 10, 30 hours, 10.28%. Death's Gambit, 7 out of 10, 25 hours, sitting at a 3.98%. Don't really know what that game's about, but I've seen it bouncing around a couple of times. Not on many people's lists, but, you know, still, fair play. Deathloop, a game that I always call this my Marmite game, or Vegemite, if you're not from the UK. You know, you either love it or hate it. 4 out of 10, 20 hours, sitting at a 12.57. We then got Demon Souls, because why not? You know, got most of the other Souls-like games at this point. 7 out of 10, 40 hours, 20.11%. Destroy All Humans, the remake, and Destroy All Humans 2, reprobed. I'm guessing that's the remake as well. Both of those, fairly easy. 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 20 hours, 15 hours. 19.86, 23.12%. We got Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Fair play on this bad boy. 4 out of 10, 45 hours, sitting at a 2.19%. So ultra rare on that bad boy. We got Dishonored twice. Looking at the dates, it looks legit as well, so fair play. 5 out of 10 on both of those. 5 out of 10 on Dishonored 2 as well. 25 hours for the first game, 35 hours for the second. PS3 stack 5.85, PS4 stack 11.44, and 8.73 for Dishonored 2 on the PS4. You got Dragon's Dogma, 4 out of 10, 50 hours, 15.86% on that. Dying Light, 5 out of 10, 50 hours, 6.35. We got Elden Ring Night Rain, because, yes, fair play. That's, according to the guide, 9.5 out of 10, 50 hours, 39.05%. How is a 9.5 that high? There's got to be a cheese way or something. I'm not saying that Memento Mickey did the cheese way, but there's got to be a cheese way for that high of a percentage. But regardless, you've got it. Fair effing play. Woo! Eldest Souls twice. Don't really know this game. I'm based off of the name of it. It's a Souls game. But 8 out of 10, 20 hours. PS5 stack 2.44. PS4 stack 3.72. Fear 3. Not everybody's favourite Fear game, but one that I absolutely loved growing up. 7 out of 10, 20 hours, 2.51% on that absolute banger of a game. Mate, I'm seeing so many high difficulty games. This list is a good one. It's a good one. Let's go. Fallout 4, 3 out of 10, 60 hours, 10.42. New Vegas, 5 out of 10, 80 hours on PS3, 6.56. We then got Far Cry 3 and 4. 4 out of 10, 25 hours, 3 out of 10, 25 hours, both mid, in between 10 and 20%. Final Fantasy 16, 3 out of 10, 75 hours, 23.22% on that. I don't think I've said it before, but I've definitely fought it for a long time. As a lover of Final Fantasy games myself, Final Fantasy 16 was very disappointing. It did not feel like a Final Fantasy to me. But obviously that's just my opinion. Other people can think differently or the same. But I did still enjoy it for what it was. I still haven't got the platinum, even though I'm halfway through my second playthrough and I've got like 2 trophies left. I just can't bring myself to go back and finish it. I will do eventually though. Fist of the North Star, Lost Paradise, 5 out of 10, 100 hours, 4.11%. Then we've got Fury twice. Again, based off of dates, it looks like it's legit. 8 out of 10, 25 hours on both PS4 and PS5. The PS4 stack, 1.81%. We've got Gauntlet, 5 out of 10, 50 hours. That one's 2.12%. So you can see where all these ultra rare trophies are coming from, because some of them are platinums. Ghost of Tsushima, completely butchered that then. I don't know where the came from, but it came. 3 out of 10, 55 hours, 35.47%. Another one that I need to go back to and complete at some point. Ghost Runner, 6 out of 10, 12 hours, 10.10%. Nice. Golf with Your Friends, obviously a golf game, but I've never played it, never even looked into it. But there's no guide, and it's currently 5.34% on the PS4. Gungrave Gore, 5 out of 10, 20 hours on PS5, 8.82%. I own the game, never actually seen gameplay of it. You'll have to tell me if it's a good game or not. Hard Reset Redux. Again, a game that I've never heard of or seen anything of. But it's a 9 out of 10. 30 hours on the PS4. 3.08%. And the same applies to Hardware Rivals, which, from the looks of it, is now unobtainable. 3 out of 10. 30 hours. 2.42%. So, another very low percentage. We have Infamous 2 and Second Son. Infamous games, they are what they are. They're fantastic games to experience. Not the rarest when it comes to platinum pop-in, but still very much worth the experience. We have then got Two stacks of Jack 3. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that the one stack was potentially semi-auto-popped. We've got 3 stacks of Jack and Daxter, the precursor legacy. I don't know if any of those are pre-popped, but fair play. And we got 2 stacks of Jack 2. One of them was definitely a partial auto-pop. There's no way you're finishing that game in that time, but, you know, it was a long time ago. But fair play on those. And he's got Jack X Combat Racing as well. Why not? 4 out of 10, 15 hours, 20.12%. We've then got Judgment, 5 out of 10, 80 hours, 5.87% on that for the PS5 stack. For the PS4 stack, 7 out of 10, 120 hours. I don't know why that's such a big jump. Like, where did the extra 40 hours and -2 difficulty go? But PS4 stack, longer, harder, 3.93%. So fair effing play. Killing Floor 2, 5 out of 10, 20 hours. Not the hardest of games, but there are a couple of trophies that are very difficult, especially if you don't have like the right team. But regardless, you've got it, 7.51%. Killzone Shadowfall, 6 out of 10, 50 hours. 25 unobtainable trophies now, so I'm guessing that that's not all going to be DLC, so I'm guessing that game is unobtainable, but that's sitting at a 1.52. Like a Dragon, the man who erased his name, PS5 stack is 47.63, and on the PS4, 56.24%. That's actually quite sickening for like, you know, Yakuza spin-off games. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, absolute banger, 4 out of 10, 90 hours. Again, quite sickening that it's a 40.91%, but fair effing play regardless. Like a Dragon, Ishin, 5 out of 10, 120 hours, 7.83%. That's more like it. I've actually never seen that game. I don't know what that entails. Like, I've played most of the Yakuzas at least a little bit. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, I've got that platinum. I played the first Like a Dragon, two trophies off the platinum, and can't be bothered to do a whole nother playthrough because I lost the save file. Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, 3 out of 10, 30 hours, 58.01. Then we've got Lost Judgment. Is that the same game as Judgment? Or is it like... What's the difference between Lost Judgment and Judgment? Regardless, 5 out of 10, 80 hours, 12.54% on the PS5. Spider-Man, one of the PlayStation trilogy, which everybody at this point has got. Fair play. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance on the PS3, 10 out of 10, 40 hours, 2.4%. Oh, mate. If you know this game, you know how absolutely insanely difficult it is. And we've had 2 lists in a row now that have had this. Fair effing play, buddy. Metal Gear Solid 5 as well, The Phantom Pain, 5 out of 10, 130 hours, 4.82%. I'm telling you now, these 2 lists, this one and last week's one, they're the kind of lists that I love to see. I really do. Moving on, we got Metro Exodus and Metro Last Light, 5 out of 10, 45 hours, 8.38%, and 6 out of 10, 20 hours, 3.81%. Middle Earth, Shadow of War, 3 out of 10, 40 hours, 12.35. We got a double stack of Minecraft, one on the PS3, one on the PS4. For some reason, the guides differ. PS4 stack's actually got more trophies, so that's potentially why. But 11.29, 12.91. Nier Automata, absolutely fantastic game. 3 out of 10, 60 hours, 28.52. And holy shit, mate. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, Ninja Gaiden 4, and Ninja Gaiden... I can't tell what the symbol says underneath, but whatever this symbol is, 10 out of 10, 110 hours. 8 out of 10, 37.5 hours. 9 out of 10, 90 hours. So the two long ones, 6.63% on PS5, 4.29% on the PS4. And then Ninja Gaiden 4, the easier of the bunch, 13.66 on PS5. My guy, Ninja Gaiden. Whee! Literally, just over a week ago. Fair play. We got Neo, 5 out of 10, 80 hours, 12.18. Neo 2 twice. Looks legit. 5 out of 10, 70 hours, 18.18 on PS5, 21.31 on PS4. No More Heroes 3, 6 out of 10, 100 hours, 1.74%. Onrush, which is now unobtainable, 6 out of 10, 25 hours on PS4, 6.3%. We've then got Overwatch 2 twice. Different dates, but I know that like potentially was accidental auto pop, but not auto popped. Overwatch is a weird one, kind of like Dead by Daylight in the way that you can play on the newer system, and certain trophies will pop, others won't. But regardless, 7 out of 10, 100 hours, 2.87 on PS5, 1.69 on PS4. It does say unobtainable now. I believe that's for a 6v6 mode trophy, and the game's now changed to 5v5 if I remember right. Or it might be something to do with Overwatch 1, which then changed to Overwatch 2. Regardless, I am just chatting pup. Prototype twice, potentially legit again. Nice. 8 out of 10, 45 hours, 2.98 on PS3, 4.77 on PS4. And then Prototype 2, they decided to, you know, make it a lot easier for everybody. 2 out of 10, 20 hours, 21.34, 25.60. We then see the whole bloody, what word am I looking for? The whole franchise of Ratchet and Clank. There we go. We'll stick with that. So we got Ratchet and Clank 2 going commando, 3 up your arsenal, A Crack in Time, Into the Nexus, Rift Apart, Size Matters, and Deadlocked. Yeah, Ratchet and Clank, everyone knows what they are by this point. Ready or Not, a fairly newish game, 8 out of 10, 80 hours, nice, you love to see it, 4.59. Red Faction 1 and 2, absolutely insane games from back in the day. 6 out of 10, 30 hours, 3.68 for Red Faction. 3 out of 10, 15 hours, 4.45 for Red Faction 2. So, a fairly easy one, quite short as well. And you got a nice ultra rare platinum right there. You know, just point that one out for you guys. Riders Republic, 4 out of 10, 55 hours, 3.09%. Rise of the Ronin, 4 out of 10, 55 hours, PS5, 34.11. Saints Row 4, banger, 3 out of 10, 40 hours, on PS3, 8.01%. Got Shadow of the Colossus, 6 out of 10, 40 hours, PS4, 7.11%. We got Shadow Warrior 1, 2 and 3, and, you know, just look at that. Shadow Warrior 1, 9 out of 10. Shadow Warrior 2, 4 out of 10. Shadow Warrior 3, 2 out of 10. But then you look at the percentages and it's like, I see. So 9 out of 10, 50 hours, 1.69%. 4 out of 10, 50 hours, 3.56%. Shadow Warrior 3, 2 out of 10, 9 hours, 31.87. They really dumbed that game down. Not saying it's a bad game, but they did. Shadow of the Damned, Hella Remastered, 4 out of 10, 22.5 hours on the PS5, 20.41%. I never played the original. I've been interested in maybe getting this. Is it worth it? I need to know. Slain, Back from Hell, 5 out of 10, 12 hours on the PS4 or Vita, 4.12%. No idea what the game is, but, you know, fair play, 4.12. And then Slave Zero, again, another one I don't really know much about, on the PS5, No guide, 1.8%. So fair effing play. The first Sly Cooper game, 2 out of 10, 10 hours, 48.07%. Solstice, 7 out of 10, 55 hours, 1.49%. So, yeah, another very, well, ultra rare. The free Spyros, yeah, well done. Steep, 7 out of 10, 30 hours, 2.10%. Just to point out, that clap might have seemed sarcastic, or like I was just trying to, throw Spyro out the door, but when I'm looking at lists and it's just covered in red blocks of like complete difficulty and hundreds of hours, these are going to get overlooked because I have no interest. Like, they're decent games, obviously from my childhood, but compared to many others on this list, they don't stand a chance. Steep, 7 out of 10, 30 hours, 2.10%. Stranger of Paradise twice, one looks partial or mainly an auto pop. 4 out of 10, 40 hours on PS5, 27.94. Tales from the Borderlands, 2 out of 10, 12 hours on the PS4, 49.49, obviously a Telltale game. Tales of Arise, 48.48. I started reading how many trophies the Memento Mickey had earned then. 2 out of 10, 60 hours, 31.63%. Terraria, or Terraria, depending on where you're from, 4 out of 10, 50 hours, 2.59%. The Evil Within and Evil Within 2, you love to see it. 9 out of 10, 50 hours, 4.10%. And then 8 out of 10, 45 hours, 11.22%. The Outer Worlds, 4 out of 10, 45 hours. On the PS4, 7.50%. Transformers Devastation, 7 out of 10, 25 hours, 0.90%. I think that's the rarest platinum on this list. Quite surprising, because Transformers, probably would have a cult following. Tripang 2, 9 out of 10, 35 hours, 3.40%. Nice. Turbo Overkill, I have absolutely not a Scooby-Doo what this game is. No guide either. PS5, 6.81%. PS4, a flat 10%. So 1 in every 10 people that play it get the platinum, at least on PSNP. Uncharted 4, Thief's End, 4 out of 10, 30 hours, 8.92. Valfaris and Valfaris Mecha Ferion, never heard of either of those. I'm guessing Mecha Ferion is a sequel, doesn't have a guide, but the first one does. 7 out of 10, 15 hours, 7.34% on that bad boy, 12.09 on the potential sequel. Vanquish, my guy, 9 out of 10, 15 hours, very, very skill dependent. PS4, 5.49% on that bad boy. Wanted Dead. Now, this was a game that I brought and I was so hyped to give it a go, and I still haven't took it out the wrapping, and that was probably about a year ago now. I need to kind of get through my backlog. But 7 out of 10, 40 hours, 2.46%. Wolong Fallen Dynasty twice. Looks legit. They're very high percents, again, Souls-like games. Wolfenstein, The Old Blood, 5 out of 10, 12 hours, 16.30. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, again, another one I think is Souls-like, if I'm right. 6 out of 10, 50 hours, 34.32. And then we're into a whole host of Yakuzas. So, Yakuza 0, 7 out of 10, 140 hours. Yakuza 3, 8 out of 10, 100 hours. Yakuza 4, 6 out of 10, 80 hours. Yakuza 5, 7 out of 10, 120 hours. Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, 3 out of 10, yay, 40 hours. Yakuza Kiwami, 7 out of 10 and 80 hours. Kiwami 2, 6 out of 10, 80 hours. Yakuza Dead Souls, which you don't see too often, 6 out of 10, 72.5 hours. And then Yakuza Like a Dragon, 5 out of 10, 80 hours. Banger, 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 banger. And I'll stop there before it gets really annoying. 4.9% on 0, 8.63% on 3, 9.05% on 5, 3.74% on Kiwami, and 5.7% on Dead Souls. Everything else is over 10 but under 20. Fair effing play. Salute. As I said at the start, Memento Mickey does not have any 100%, or at least none that was showing up on PSNP. So we'll scroll straight up and we'll have a look at the milestones. So first platinum was Ratchet & Clank Cracking Time, because why not? It was 14 years ago. I don't blame you at all. 10th platinum was Jack 3. 20th platinum, Fallout 4. 30th platinum, Wolfenstein The Old Blood. 40th platinum, The Outer Worlds. 50th platinum was Bioshock Infinite. 75th platinum was Fury. 100th platinum, Like a Dragon Ishin. 125 was Overwatch 2. And then 150, which wasn't his most recent because he's got over 150. Why am I being a noob? It was Ninja Gaiden Delta. Whatever that symbol is, Gamma, Delta, Beta, whatever it is. And then the latest platinum, Ninja Gaiden 4. My guy. Just look at some of them rarities. But like I said, the rarest one of them all, Transformers Devastation, isn't in his trophy cabinet. Don't care about that one. Wants to show off all these bad boys, and I don't blame you. And I'm actually interested what you've been playing. So you're currently playing Phasmophobia. Would be a rare one if you got it. Lost Judgment. So must be doing a second stack of that. And Kill Knight. Kill Knight, I've played that. It's actually really difficult if you've never seen it before. Oh, and Alan Wake 2. So the kind of person like me plays multiple games at the same time. But fair play, Memento Mickey, that was an absolutely fantastic list. And mate, fair play. I honestly thought after the last list I would not be able to have another list that competed. Yes, you didn't have Crypt, which obviously everyone, everyone knows is like the rarest platinum and whatnot, but you still absolutely killed it with all those high difficulties. So 2 weeks in a row, we have got a true gamer, an absolute legend, and thank you so much for submitting the list. And thank you to anyone that's still watching at this point. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Hit that sub if you haven't subscribed before. Pushing towards 2k subs now, and yeah, I'm just loving doing this. It's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for watching. I love your faces, and I'll see you next time. Peace.